You just bought an airline. Congratulations. The deal closed for $8.4 billion. Tomorrow morning, 162 aircraft will carry your name. More than 31,000 employees will show up to work. And before the sun sets, nearly 120,000 passengers will trust your airline to get them where they need to go. Feels like you've made it. After all, airlines are everywhere. Every day, millions of people rush through airports, board aircraft, and disappear into the sky. From the outside, it looks like one of the greatest businesses in the world. Expensive tickets, packed flights, global destinations. Surely, an airline must be a machine that prints money, right? Well, not exactly, because over the last 2 decades, some of the world's biggest airlines have filed for bankruptcy. Others have survived only because governments stepped in with billions of dollars in support. And even today, an airline can generate billions in annual revenue while keeping only a tiny fraction as profit. So how can a business this big be this fragile? To answer that, let's start with what you've actually bought. Most people think you bought airplanes. You didn't. You bought a system, a living, breathing machine that never truly stops. Across the world, your fleet stretches from regional jets to long-haul aircraft. Some of those airplanes are worth well over $100 million each when purchased new. But here's the first surprise. You probably don't own all of them. Many airlines lease a significant portion of their fleets from specialized aircraft leasing companies. Instead of paying hundreds of millions upfront, they make long-term lease payments every month. So even before your first passenger checks in, bills have already started arriving. But the aircraft are only the beginning. Every flight depends on thousands of people working together. Pilots, cabin crew, aircraft mechanics, dispatchers, ground handlers, baggage teams, customer service agents, operations controllers, security personnel, cleaners. More than 31,000 people now depend on your decisions. That's roughly the population of an entire town. And every morning, they all expect the same thing, that the operation works. Because an airline doesn't wake up gradually. It wakes up all at once. Before dawn, maintenance crews inspect aircraft that landed only hours earlier. Fuel trucks move from gate to gate. Pilots receive updated weather briefings. Cabin crews prepare for boarding. Baggage begins flowing beneath the terminal floors. Control centers monitor hundreds of flights before the first passengers even arrive. Then, the airport comes alive. Within minutes, aircraft begin pushing back from their gates. Taxiways fill. Runways become a carefully choreographed sequence of departures. And one by one, your airplanes climb into the sky. It's an incredible sight, but behind that perfectly organized operation is a business where almost every minute matters. A delayed aircraft doesn't just inconvenience passengers. It can delay the crew scheduled to operate the next flight. It can cause passengers to miss connections. It can force aircraft to wait for available gates. And by the end of the day, one small disruption can ripple across your entire network. You haven't experienced that yet. Right now, you're still standing in the terminal, watching your airline take off for the very first time. It's exciting. It's ambitious. And for a brief moment, it feels like everything is going exactly according to plan until you open yesterday's financial report. Because despite carrying thousands of passengers, despite operating hundreds of flights, despite generating millions of dollars every single day, there's one number that matters more than all the others: profit. And that's where the real story begins. Yesterday, you bought an airline. Today, the first flights have already landed. Passengers are collecting their bags. Crews are preparing for their next departure. And somewhere inside your headquarters, a single question echoes through every department. Did today's flights make money? Most people would answer that question the same way. Of course, the planes were full. But that's the first mistake new airline owners make, because a full airplane doesn't automatically mean a profitable one. Imagine one of your aircraft flying from London to New York. Every one of its 300 seats is occupied. From the outside, it looks like a perfect flight. But look a little closer. Some passengers booked their tickets 6 months ago during a sale. Others used frequent flyer miles. Some paid extra for business class. Others paid only enough to cover a fraction of the operating cost. Every passenger sitting beside each other may have paid a completely different price for the exact same journey. Your airline doesn't sell seats. It sells the same seat at hundreds of different prices. And finding the right balance between filling the aircraft and maximizing revenue has become a science of its own. But even then, tickets are only the beginning. Because one of the biggest surprises about owning an airline is discovering how much money comes from people who never actually fly. Take your loyalty program. Millions of travelers collect points every year. Most people think those points are simply a reward for flying. They're not. They're a business. Banks buy billions of frequent flyer miles from airlines every year to reward customers who use co-branded credit cards. The bank gets a valuable customer incentive. The traveler earns free flights. And your airline receives cash long before many of those miles are ever redeemed. For some airlines, their loyalty program has become one of their most valuable assets, and it never leaves the ground. But that's still not the end of the story. While passengers settle into their seats, something else is happening beneath their feet. Inside the cargo hold, packages, medical supplies, electronics, fresh flowers, and high-value freight are traveling to the same destination. The people on board may think they're paying for the flight. In reality, they're often sharing it with an entirely different business. One aircraft, 2 customers, passengers above, cargo below. Then come the extras: checked baggage, seat selection, priority boarding, airport lounge access, Wi-Fi, food and drinks, travel insurance, vacation packages. Individually, most of these purchases seem small. Together, they generate billions of dollars across the airline industry every year. year. By now, your airline has dozens of different ways to earn revenue. Tickets, cargo, loyalty programs, baggage, premium seating, business class, food, credit card partnerships. It sounds like a financial dream until you open the expense report, because every dollar that comes in is about to meet something much bigger waiting on the other side: fuel, maintenance, aircraft leases, pilot salaries, airport fees, insurance, thousands of employees, and one of the most expensive operating environments in the world. That's the moment every airline owner discovers a painful truth. Making money is easy. Keeping it is the real challenge. And that's exactly where your airline starts to fight for survival. Because airlines don't fail from a lack of passengers. They fail because keeping an airplane in the sky is one of the most expensive operations on Earth. Let's start with your biggest expense: fuel. Every time one of your long-haul aircraft pushes back from the gate, it begins burning thousands of dollars worth of jet fuel before it even leaves the runway. Multiply that by hundreds of flights every single day, and fuel alone can consume roughly a quarter of your operating costs. The worst part? You don't control the price. Oil prices surge, your costs rise overnight, but your passengers don't suddenly agree to pay more for their tickets. So while your expenses climb, your revenue often stays exactly the same. And that's only the beginning, because your aircraft don't make money sitting on the ground, yet they're forced to spend part of their lives there. Every airplane follows strict maintenance schedules. Doesn't matter if the aircraft looks perfect. It still needs inspections, repairs, engine checks, software updates. Safety always comes first. A modern jet engine can cost tens of millions of dollars, and every hour an aircraft spends inside a maintenance hangar, it's generating almost no revenue. Imagine buying one of the world's most expensive machines, only to watch it sit still. That's why airline executives obsess over one metric: aircraft utilization. The goal isn't simply to own airplanes. The goal is to keep them flying. The more hours an aircraft spends in the air, the more opportunities it has to generate revenue. Every unnecessary minute at the gate is a minute that aircraft isn't earning its keep. But airplanes don't fly themselves. Behind every departure is an army of people working in perfect synchronization: pilots, cabin crew, dispatchers, ground handlers, baggage teams, air traffic coordinators, engineers, operations controllers, thousands of people. One schedule, one mistake, and everything begins to fall apart. Imagine this: one of your flights leaves Chicago 20 minutes late because of a summer thunderstorm. 20 minutes doesn't sound like much until that same aircraft lands late in Dallas. Now the crew scheduled for the next flight is approaching its legal working limit. Passengers begin missing their connections. Another aircraft waits because the gate is still occupied. Baggage arrives late. Ground crews fall behind schedule. Before long, a delay that started in one city is disrupting flights hundreds of miles away. That's the reality of running an airline. You aren't managing individual flights. You're managing an entire network. Every aircraft depends on another. Every crew depends on another. Every airport depends on another. It's like a line of falling dominoes. Push one, and eventually the entire system feels it. Weather, mechanical issues, air traffic congestion, crew availability, none of these can ever be eliminated. Your job isn't to prevent every problem. It's to recover faster than your competitors, because passengers might forgive one delay. Markets rarely forgive a consistently inefficient airline. And that's why the biggest challenge isn't getting airplanes into the sky. It's keeping one of the world's most complex businesses moving, minute after minute, day after day. But after all that effort, after thousands of employees, millions spent on fuel, constant maintenance, and hundreds of successful flights, there's still one question left. Was any of it actually profitable? The answer depends on what you mean by profitable. Your airline generated more than $13 billion in revenue this year, an incredible number, enough to rank among some of the largest companies in the world. But revenue can be deceiving, because after paying for fuel, aircraft leases, maintenance, airport charges, navigation fees, insurance, technology, and the salaries of more than 31,000 employees, only a tiny fraction remains. On average, airlines keep just a few cents of profit for every dollar they earn. One unexpected crisis can erase an entire year's profits. A pandemic, a spike in fuel prices, a recession, a volcanic eruption, a war, an airspace closure, events completely outside your control can suddenly become your biggest financial problem. That's why airlines don't simply compete against each other. They compete against uncertainty. Every day, you make thousands of decisions. Which routes deserve another aircraft? Which ones should be canceled? Should you lower ticket prices to fill empty seats, or keep them high and risk flying half full? Do you delay a flight for connecting passengers, or leave on time and disappoint hundreds of others? Every decision has a cost. Every minute has a value. Every mistake echoes across the entire network. And that's what makes this business so fascinating, because anyone can buy an airplane, anyone can hire pilots, anyone can paint a logo on the side of an aircraft. Building an airline isn't the difficult part. Running one is. By now, you've carried millions of passengers, generated billions of dollars, managed thousands of employees, operated one of the most complex businesses on Earth. And yet, success was never guaranteed. The dream wasn't flying airplanes. The dream was building a business that could survive, because the skies don't reward the biggest airline. They don't reward the airline with the newest aircraft. And they certainly don't reward the airline that sells the most tickets. They reward the airline that executes day after day, flight after flight, year after year. So, was buying an airline worth it? If all you wanted was a glamorous business, probably not. But if you wanted to build one of the most extraordinary operational machines ever created, there are few businesses more remarkable. Because when an airline works, it feels effortless, and making the impossible look effortless became your job.